What's happening, y'all? This is Todd Wilson. Today on episode of Elevate Your Game, we have the head coach of Birmingham High School, Coach Nick Halic. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Thanks for being here. So we're here for the Core Prep Fall Classic. We have core alumni on their high school teams participating. Coach was blessed enough to go and compete today. He plays Notre Dame.
Very lucky.
They have a three-headed monster. You have a bit of a three-headed monster yourself, I believe.
Yeah,
and,
a little different.
Yeah, but I love the level of competition that you've been in the fall challenging your team with, and even going into the season. It sounds like you have a pretty competitive schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, our football team has been doing it for a long time at our school. If you look at their preseason schedule, they're usually playing all the best team. Notre Dame, they play Chaminade. And then it pays dividends when they get to league. So we started doing that a few years back, and it's just something we've always tried to do. It's never been the fall has never been scheduled this tough. This has probably been for sure the toughest fall between St. Bernard, Heritage, and then now Notre Dame. So it's going to be challenging for them, but hopefully it gets us ready.
Absolutely. I love to start the show off with the one question is, when did you fall in love with basketball?
Man, I used to live in Detroit, and when I lived in Detroit, it was all like East Coast basketball, so the Pistons were pretty good, and it was Pistons, Bulls kind of stuff. So I was a little kid, man. I think I was in first or second grade, and we play outside when we could, But I had, it was just like something stuck to the tree. It wasn't like a real hoop. I can't exactly remember what it was, but I know it wasn't like an actual hoop. So for me, and then it was just at school, every day, recess, lunch. I don't know if these kids, they don't really play at lunch anymore, but that's what I did. That's when it was.
No, that's what I love to do is connect that passion that you have for the game at a young age, like you said, at recess, and you weren't even playing on a real hoop. Like these kids today, they don't understand that. They still have passion for it, and it's just different generation, but them understanding that we used to do any means necessary to hoop, and we'll hoop at lunch, we'll hoop with our boots on. We didn't care what we were doing, and that passion is what
they need. Their certain shoes now, they need their certain ends, they want their head wraps and all that. But honestly, I try to think of it too, and for us, I know it was the shorts. The shorts were huge. Like when I was in high school, everything was huge, and for me, it was t-shirt under the jersey. Yep. I couldn't play with just a straight. I had to have the matching t-shirt. So to each his own, right? Like their generation has their style, and I think the big part of coaching, the tough part, is trying to go with it as much as you can. Trying to move with how it's changing. Still stick to certain principles, but you can't coach them the way even you coached 5 years ago. Every few years, the groups are different kind of culture, and you have to kind of find the pulse. So I'm this year I'm figuring it out. It's taking me some time, but I think I'll get it.
No, it's awesome. And that rolls right into our next question is that how did you take this off season? And we always tell our players to develop something in the off season. What did you develop as a coach that you want the team to take on this season?
What's funny? I've actually tried to focus more on myself this season. I think every off season it's always what do I need them to do. And for me, again, it was just kind of noticing that the kids are different. Just for different reasons, obviously COVID, obviously just like we talked about previously, generationally. So it's really how can I still try to stay connected to them as I age and as I mature? How do I still stay in touch with what they like to do, what they don't like to do, what they can and what they can't do? Because that's really what coaching is about, right?
Yes.
If I keep just telling them to do it this way, and it's not working, how am I going to adjust? So I think the biggest thing I've tried to adjust personality-wise and trying to be more patient, try to have more conversations because this generation is just different. You gotta coach them differently.
Absolutely. It's I had a friend who called it transactional relationships versus relational, being relational. And, we grew up in a transactional atmosphere. Our coaches told us what to do. We did it.
That's
and
it.
Our parents didn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a new generation, and finding that relational piece is where I think you'll find success because we already know you're invested into your players. You can tell by how you coach, how they have pride in being a part of Birmingham and continuing to grow. And so that's awesome.
Appreciate
that the self-development, and they're going to see that. They're going to see the example of, hey, I need to focus on myself to be better for the team and all those
things. We talked about it being like a two-way street. If I'm going to make these changes here, what changes are you going to make? And, and how you're taking in the information, right? Because I'm used to what I was taught, and now I'm trying to learn something different, communicate differently. And for me, it'd be good to see the result. If I'm communicating this different style, but I'm getting the same or even better results, then it's going to reinforce me too. And they kind of look at me like, well, this is weird, but
right.
but it is, we're trying something new. So
awesome. What you may have answered it already. What are you looking forward to the most this season?
I think this season I'm looking forward to the challenge of developing them as a group. I think we have a lot of possibilities. Obviously, Caleb coming from core. We got a couple transfers. We got some really steady guards that have been here for 3-4 years. Yeah. So trying to mix all those things together and see where we can end up. Obviously, we want to put ourselves in the mix in the city section of being in the top 4. If you can get in the top 4, one way or the other, if you can get yourself in that semifinal game, you got a chance. And so that's really where we kind of set our bar to, is to get in that game and then shake it out after that. So it's going to be challenging. We got a very difficult schedule ahead of us. We're going in the gold bracket at Damien, which, to be honest with you, if that bracket was its own tournament, it'd be the second best tournament in the state.
I saw it. It looked just like the platinum.
If you look at the diamond one, it's not much different either. It's almost like they just kind of flip a coin sometimes. It's a very difficult tournament. Obviously, going to Tark and going to Reno, we'll play some out-of-state schools and different styles and different stuff like that. So just trying to piece everything together so that by the time we get in the league, West Valley League play, I think teams like Chatsworth and Taft, those teams are going to be able to compete this year. So you're going to have to be ready for them.
Absolutely. This is a segment we like to call the My Rushmore. It's your Mount Rushmore, your top 4 coaches of all time. And it could be any sport, any level.
Oh, man. Any sport?
Any sport.
I think I'm going to stay with high school.
Okay.
Instead of just, all the other stuff. Because I don't really know a lot of you don't really personally know college coaches, or you're not around their practices every day to see them. I have to pick Coach Croson. Being able to be in 2 different arenas, a public school and a private school, and to be able to win consistently as he did, and a lot of his guys coming back and coaching for him, that speaks a lot. So I'm a big Croson fan. High school wise, man, I've never actually met him, but when they always talk about like the history of high school basketball, they always talk about Willie West, right?
Yeah.
And when, I never really realized it until all these dudes start getting older and how many different dudes he coached. It's crazy.
Almost it feels like everybody, right?
And how good they were and how dominant they were. And every time I've only been to Crenshaw's gym maybe 3 or 4 times, but every time you go in there, man, it's a little overwhelming. You look at all the banners and all that kind of stuff. So I would have to put him up there. Also Coach Katani.
Yeah.
Katani was I've learned a lot from him just kind of like through conversations and through different, interactions and stuff. And his teams, again, he's another guy, goes from public to private, and then instantly, I didn't even know that school existed until he got the job.
I thought it was like,
he
he's
gets the
moving
job
to another school.
Yeah, he gets the job, and then it's, they're consistently really good. He's got a kid to Stanford. I mean, come on. And then I think last but not least, Again, I'm giving a lot of city section love, but that's just where I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? I'm going to go with Ed Azam.
Yeah.
Again, just looking at, if you really just look at everybody he coached and you look at how his teams always competed, and even in the championship games that we had, we said some things, there's some things said between us, like that last one that I'm going to keep to myself. But he's just so gracious and cool, and, he said some cool, real kind things to me, in his last game. And I heard I think he's helping out at like school in Torrance, they got 4 Torrance schools, so I'm not which one. That's where he lives, and he just loves the game. He just loves basketball, and even after all he done to say, I'm gonna sit on somebody else's bench, and I'm gonna help some young dude out, it just speaks a lot to him. So, a big shout out to all those city section guys.
Yeah,
the
biggest thing I see with all those 4 is humility too. Like they're helpers, they're leaders. They really lift people up. Yeah. And when you talk to them, as what I want to say is achieve as many achievements they have and what they can have clout about and all that. They are very down to earth and always willing to help, and so that's awesome. I hope to take that on.
I'm trying to too. Right? It's a tough task, but I think that's definitely, like I said, just kind of looking internally this season and trying to look at certain those things and just go about your business as best you can the right way, But I think all those guys did that. You know what I mean? And like through my interactions with them, you know, and these little conversations just picked up a lot. So.
Absolutely. What is one word or phrase that you would use to describe Birmingham basketball?
Oh, phrase. Oh man, it's you know, phrase. I would say expectation. You know, because when I first got there, there was really not a lot of basketball expectation, right? Like there really wasn't a, you know, for whatever reason, even though if you were inside of it, you know, we had been close a few times and we had good players coming in and out. But when you're on the campus, I remember, you know, going to coaches meetings, and almost every coach had some sort of championship, you know, from wrestling to lacrosse. You know, our baseball teams won 4 in a row. And so there's an expectation at the school to compete and try to win the top division. You know, like we all want to be in the top division. We all want to win that division. We don't really want to settle for anything else. You know, I mentioned the football team. The baseball team challenges themselves in the regular season too. Yeah. You know, they'll play Harvard Westlake, and you know they'll go to Orange County and play guys out there. Our soccer team does it as well. You know, so that expectation of from your peers, I think is really what drives Birmingham basketball, and like just wanting to not just, you know, everybody else outside of Birmingham, they have their ideas about this and that, but we know what it is inside, and so we're all trying to push the kids to be as best they can. We try to compete with, you know, with the private schools in as best we can, and you know, not worry about advantage, disadvantage, that or the other. You know, who cares? Like just go out there, play as hard as you can, and see how it goes. No,
that's awesome. I like that. Awesome. And then the last question is the Tarek question of the day. Yeah. Tarek wanted to be here. He wasn't able to make it. He's on MLS finals or something crazy like that. So
big time Tarek with the breakfast burritos and all the big time assignments.
Absolutely. So his question is, who's the best local high school player that you've watched, or that you've coached against present day, or that you're not looking forward to coaching against?
Honestly, I love coaching against them all. Like I enjoy coaching against them and seeing if we can challenge them, and then seeing just where their careers go afterwards. Yes, you know, like even I think of a guy like Peyton Watson. You know what I mean? Like playing against him and then seeing like, man, that dude's on the Nuggets now. It's pretty crazy, right? So I think for me, I don't know. I'm not gonna go best. I'm just gonna go with just most intriguing. You know, yes. I'd say Bronny, and the reason he's intriguing to me is just where it's gone from where it started. Like he was on a team and kind of more of a role player type guy, and to see that, you know, his father would and just the coaching staff over there and just would kind of do that, like take it slow. Yeah. You know what I mean? You'd think he'd just go, all right, he's on the floor all the time doing this, doing that, and he wasn't. He's really actually developed typically like other players have, right? Yeah. Like they're young, they start with one role and then they grow into the other roles. Yeah. And seeing them play, you know, in the summer and you know, stuff on TV and stuff recently, you're just like, man, you know, I mean, like, who knows if he keeps going at the rate he's going. Yeah. I guess that's kind of easy. And then my guard, probably Corey. You know, I've been seeing Corey for 4 years now, and so it's really going to be interesting to see what he does if he really takes control, you know, this season as a senior. I'm hoping he does, of course. Right.
Yeah, so that's the goal.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
I know I wasn't supposed to throw him in there, but I did.
No, absolutely. And be honest, and that's a good thing. I love the support that we have for the basketball community in Southern California. I think we all have a lot of respect for one another and what everyone is doing. This is, I don't think you can do any of this anywhere else in the world where you have so much competitive play with players who have college potential. Yeah. And it's almost oversaturated to the point where colleges don't even recruit the players who need to be recruited. We have players who get sent to the East Coast are here.
I was just talking about Montana, man. There's probably more California players on those two rosters, Montana and Montana State, right? Yeah. And you just scratch your head because some of our local schools, they just don't even connect with us. Yeah. Which is to me, I'm like, they're in the deepest state, yet they're constantly pulling kids from everywhere else. Doesn't make sense, but hopefully somebody will figure it out around here.
No, I think they will. I think we're bringing enough attention to it because we want that, right? Yeah. We want that for our local schools, right? And so we can go see these kids, like you said. So we could go watch them play. I gotta fly to Nebraska to go see Ben Schultzberg now, which is dope. But
which is great, but why? You know, like exactly. Why didn't like? You know, I'm not gonna drop any names on here, but there's some local schools in this very city that we're in right now that I don't get it. You know?
Absolutely.
Time for a change.
100%. Nick, been a pleasure.
All right,
Good
man.
luck for your season.
Hey,
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Tom.
All right.